Well, hey everybody, and good morning to another episode of The Unlocked Show. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. Always my pleasure to be here with you guys. And as you know, on Wednesdays, what is Wednesday? Well, it is guest day on Wednesdays, and I have the amazing Jay Altman with me today. Look, I'm going to tell you that it's been some time since Jay and I caught up, and I have been messaging him for quite some time saying, hey, Jay, would love to have you on the Unlock Show because I know what you and your wonderful wife, Kelly, have been doing have been amazing and has been changing the lives of loads of people all over the world. And I know that by having Jay here on the show with us today, the amount of value that he's going to bring, you guys are going to be blown away. I know you are. So I want to make sure that you guys stay tuned. You want to grab yourself a pen and paper because if right now you are wondering how the heck do I get myself, whether it be from ground zero to six figures or from six figures to seven and beyond, you want to listen up and you want to listen to what Jay is going to share with us today because he's going to start breaking things down and he's going to give us some real strategies, tips, tools to really make this happen for you. There's some fundamental things that you need to be doing in your life now and forevermore to make sure that you create the right type of environment that is going to set you up for long-term success. Why do I know that Jay can do this? Because I know he's done it with many, many other people. He has literally helped thousands of people to reach their highest goals through application of success habits, business strategies, tactics, also eating the right kind of food, stress management, lifestyle factors, and spiritual development. So I know he does this for himself and for his family. And I know he's done it with many, many other people because I've heard all about it. Hence the reason I wanted to have him on the show. So without further ado, let me kind of zip it for a moment and say a huge, big welcome to my good friend, Jay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tracy. It is all the way my honor to be here. I'm super excited. I'm proud to be here to be able to sit, side by side to you. I know the genius you are, and I'm excited to, have this conversation with you and bring lots of value to the audience today.
Oh, thanks very much. Look, and the other thing is, how cool is it that, I haven't caught up with Jay for almost, it feels like 18 months now. It feels like a lot longer, but it's been 18 months since we were able to sit in the same room together. But through, platforms like this and through the internet, well, it's as if we're sitting side by side, and we are, right? So anyway, let's go to paint a picture for our audience right now, because I know that, the viewers that watch the Unlock Show are those kind of people who want to live their life unlocked. And for a lot of people, that often means, I want to have some form of financial stability that is going to enable me to do all the things that I want to do. And so let's kind of paint this picture for them about where did Jay Altman get into the position where he's now a very successful businessman, a coach and a mentor to other people. How did that all start, Jay, and why are you so passionate about that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Today I am a coach to businesses, right? Entrepreneur success coach is how I label myself. I just kind of made that up, but it was accidental, quite truly, very accidental how I landed to be this. And if I go back in time, I grew up in a very, very small town. I grew up very poor, evicted 12 times over an 8-year period. And I won't tell the whole backstory there, but several circumstances led us to be very poor. Through high school, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that I had two passions in my life at that time. One was sports. I was a decent athlete, and I loved music. And when it came time to go to college, I didn't know exactly which one to pick, but I couldn't imagine myself being a band director, which was the only thing I could think about doing with music. I'm like, no, I'm not a band director, and I wasn't good enough to be I thought a rock star. So I thought, all right, I got to pursue something with sports. And along with sports, I was not a good enough athlete to get a Division I scholarship. So I decided to pursue my academics and see how I could help work with athletes. Going back at that time, I got into business, going back just a little bit before that, my senior year of high school, my mom always got involved in multi-level marketing companies. And
Mm-hmm.
like every good multi-level marketer does, they recruit their family and their friends. So I was like the first recruit, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I got recruited to sell water filtration systems. And so it was like a door-to-door sales. And in the town where I lived, we have sulfur water. And I don't know if the audience is familiar, but sulfur water smells like rotten eggs. And it turns your clothes black if you try to wash them. And it's nasty. It's terrible. Smells terrible, and it is terrible. And so selling these things, I wasn't really like that hard. You would go into someone's home, you hook up this water filtration, and out came good smelling and good tasting water without all the yuckiness, right? So as part of this company, one of the things I love about multi-level marketing companies is they do a great job, generally speaking, at doing personal development with those who work for them. So generally every year they'll have a big conference, maybe call it a rah-rah type conference, but they will give you lots of strategies for how to grow your business. You will network with people inside the business. You will meet those who are making the millions of dollars inside the multi-level marketing company. They will be up on stage. Well, at this particular event down in Boca Raton, Florida, Tony Robbins was the keynote speaker. Now, Tony got up on stage. This is before he's doing what he's doing today, like UPW, but this was a little bit of the version of UPW. And he talked about one concept that has stuck with me for my entire life. And it was this concept of modeling. He said something like this: if you want to make a lot of money in this company, find someone here that's next to you today, ask them exactly what they did to get a lot of money building their business inside this multi-level marketing company. And if you do something similar to what they did, then you will get a similar result. And I thought, brilliant. That seems so easy, and I don't have to make up stuff. I can literally just model, the thing. All right, perfect. So when so now I go back to college. When I got to college, I didn't, I didn't know what to do with my passion about sports. But I took Tony Robbins' advice, and I thought, well, if I can't be the athlete out on the court, I can help them become bigger, faster, and stronger. And so I went and I interviewed the head strength and conditioning coach at Indiana University. And I asked him, like, what did you do to get your job? And what can I do to have your job someday? And so he gave me this list, maybe 12, 14 things, some books to read, some courses to do, some certifications to get, and so on. And so I did. I went out about as quickly as I possibly could do it. I did everything he asked me to do on the list. I had signed up for the courses in college and so on. And I came back to him, and his name is Frank. And I said, Frank, I've done everything. Is there anything else I can do to? He said, well, he's like, I can't hire you, but if you want, there's a bench over here. You can sit on this bench over here, and you can watch what we do here. And I didn't hesitate for even a second. And I said, I'm in. Let's go. And I sat on this little bench in the corner for about 6 months, observing how athletes, in fact, get bigger, faster, stronger, which led to my very first job at Indiana as a student strength and conditioning coach, which led to my first job as an assistant strength coach, and so on. And then by the time I was finishing up my grad school, one of the basketball players from Indiana got drafted to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And he asked if I would come work as his private trainer. And it just turned out about that same timing that the Minnesota Timberwolves had an opening for a strength and conditioning coach. So I applied, got the job. And this led to my first kind of a breakthrough moment in terms of next level thinking. Again, I grew up very, very poor. I had never made money. This first job paid $36,600 a year. And I thought I had won the lottery. It was a dream. That was a ton of money to me. I didn't know anybody there were very, very few people that I actually knew. Like our town doctor is maybe like the only person I knew that made more money. And so I thought I'd made it. And this was great. But then what happened is I got ruined. I got ruined on that idea. What happened is one of the, around a lot of the basketball arenas, there's a lot of successful business men and women that sit down around the bottom of the arena. Well, my name was in the program, and one of the successful businessmen found me, contacted me, and said, hey, would you ever work as my private personal trainer? And we worked out a deal, and I said yes. And from there, what happened one day in about April, when it's tax day here in the U.S., he was all upset. He's coming into work. He's all upset. I'm like, why are you so upset? And he tells me he has to pay this 6-figure tax bill. The only thing I could think about, coming from no money, like, how in the world did you earn so much money but you have to pay a 6-figure tax bill. I wasn't earning anything close to 6 figures, and he has to pay a 6-figure tax bill. And he went on to tell me that he started his career as a radio DJ, but he noticed the people driving the nice cars into the studio were in the sales and marketing department. And so he's pivoted his own career to be in the sales and marketing department, worked his way up to be the president of Clear Channel Media. And he had earned a 7-figure bonus. Therefore, he had to pay a 6-figure tax bill. So a light bulb went off in my mind that, like, I was great. I knew I was great at what I did. I could really help get people the result for getting bigger, faster, stronger, more fit, whatever. That was no brainer for me. I knew how to do it. But I was tapped out. I was working 70, 80 hours a week, and I was making 36.6. Plus I had some bonus money from running summer camps with high school kids and so on. But I was like working like crazy and still not making 6 figures. But a light bulb moment happened on that very day. And I said, I need to be the seller and the marketer of what I do, not the doer of what I do. Mm-hmm. And so I started attending sales and marketing conferences, much like the one that you and I met at. Mm-hmm. And when I would come back, naturally, I would talk about them, and I would say the things that I learned. And one day, one of my business clients said to me, or one of my training clients said to me, hey, what you just said to me, would you ever come and tell my sales team, my sales and marketing team, exactly what you just told me? I said, of course, I would love to. And so I did. I went in, I did it. I prepared a few hours for this presentation. That presentation was a 1-hour presentation. And after the presentation, my client brought me up and he gave me a check for $5,000. And I was blown away, right? Blown away. I thought, wow, this was so much fun. I just had an absolute blast. I taught something that I thought was so fun to teach. And it pays a lot more than I'm getting paid, helping people get more fit and so on. Mm-hmm. Totally. And that was a pivotal moment. A light bulb moment went off, and I told another client that I had done this. I had gone into their business and shared with them these marketing ideas. And they said, well, if you did it for them, would you do it for us? And that led to one thing to another to another. So when we started this conversation, I said I accidentally stumbled into being an entrepreneur success coach. And that's exactly how that happened. I just organically came from falling in love with sales and marketing and teaching.
What I love about that, or what's really interesting with this, Jay, and I think I'm hoping that people are picking this up, those subtle things that you did throughout your journey, kind of saying, I'm prepared to go and learn and actually ask questions like, how did you get so successful? So then, being the person that's sitting on the bleachers, watching what's going on and being able to take it all in and then being able to make, your next move. And you talk a lot about, making those pivots in your career, which in fact, even though it's very, accidental, it was almost accidentally manufactured that way because of the positions that you put yourself in. And I think the great points that you've made here is that, as we go through things, and you started thinking about, well, I'm going to watch what other people do. And maybe you got that advice from someone great like a Tony Robbins that said, hey, go and model what other people are doing. So, and you also mentioned that, multi-level marketing, most entrepreneurs I'm going to say, have actually have done some kind of MLM, network marketing at some point. And, they are great for that purpose of really creating great foundations to help you to self-develop and being able to spot those that are doing really, really well, in a crowd, because they put them up and they really make a spectacle of them on a stage. So it's easy to identify them. And then you being able to step back and go, well, what is it that they're doing? How did they do that? And then, like you say, again, you ask questions, you start, rubbing shoulders with the right people, you're watching, you're learning, and you start to emulate and start implementing some of the things that they do, which then lead from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And all of a sudden, new doors are opening. The other point that I think is really important that you've made is that realization that, hang on a minute, me being the doer, I know I'm really damn good at what I do. I'm getting people really good results, but hold on a minute, that doesn't make the big dollars. Like, that's not where the money is made. And then having that realization that, hold on, the people that are making the money are in the sales and the marketing space. So therefore I'll go and start learning that. And then there's these almost like rungs in the ladder, so to speak, as to how far we can kind of climb up that entrepreneurial ladder, and the ladder of freedom and money that comes with, based on where we position ourselves within our business, right? And I can clearly see that the picture that you've painted was like going up that the rungs on that ladder based on what you had learned and how you could go about learning from the next person to get you to the next rung in the process. So I want to go here, because a lot of the time, people would use that excuse of, I grew up somewhere really poor. My parents didn't have a lot. Man, we got evicted from so many houses. I just did not grow up around money. So money wasn't something that I was, that you were familiar with, that you were at that time blessed of having. And often we'll grow up thinking, well, that is attached to me from a worthiness point of view, because I've never had any. So I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to get it. At what point did you, I suppose the question here that I want to ask for a lot of people that are in that space is like, how do you discover some of the things that are holding you back? Because now that we've identified that, hey, it is possible, whether you come from nothing or you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, so to speak, both people that are from those backgrounds, both can have it. Both can have it all. You can get to a point where you are making 6, 7, even 8 figures and being really successful in all areas of your life. But there's often something that would hold people back. And for everybody, that might be something different. So how would one start to recognize or identify what might be holding them back?
This is a loaded question, Tracy. There's a lot. There's a lot to it, but I have some ideas that I'd like to share, and then we can expand from there. But when for one, on the idea of money, when it comes to the idea of money, like, I had to unlearn some of the things that I learned, like money is the root of all evil. Like, these are some things out here, like there's a whole bunch of money ideas that were, when you don't have money, I think sometimes it's easier to, say some things to justify why you don't have money, and just say, if you had money, it'd be evil, and all this other thing, that money would equal bad. What I've come to learn over the years by being around people with money is that people that have, like, my wealthiest client has a net worth of $6.4 billion. Okay. Now, what I would like to tell everybody is that money is not the reason. Money is not a motivator for them. It's morals and its values. And so one of the things I've learned over the years is that money is a magnifier of the person who has it. So if someone is a total jerk, they will be a jerk with a lot of money, and that jerkness will get magnified, right? Yeah. And if someone is kind and sweet, that will also be magnified. They generally will, it just magnifies what is. It mirrors back with a magnifying glass what is. And so, a couple of things I learned about money. I'll say a couple more things, then I'll pivot a little bit. So one is, once you get past maybe $75,000, $80,000 a year, money for the most part is not going to change your life so much. When I go backwards to the time when I was about 13, this was at kind of the peak of us being evicted a lot. During those years, a lot of times I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I had like one pair of pants and a handful of shirts that were gifted from our local church and some cousin hand-me-downs. And the thing is, like, when you don't have basic needs provided for, you don't have like food, and you're unsure about shelter, you might be moving another time and another time and another time. It's hard to get anything else really accomplished. But once you get past having your basic needs met, you have a shelter, you feel safe, and you have food, so you know you're going to eat. Much past that with money, if you're thinking that money's going to bring happiness, don't go after the money, because for that reason, because you're going to fall short and maybe even fall into a depression. But if you can get to the idea, I guess I'll say this. When I was first started to make money, when I first made my first 36.6 and I thought I'd made it, and it did feel like a lot of money to me. And that's the truth. What I'll say is that early on, I was always about the money. I was focused on how do I get the money? Where do I get the money? I want things. I want new shirts and I want new clothes and I want to drive nice cars. And this is the only thing really in my mind. And I got really stuck making a certain amount of money. I got stuck in the low six figures. I couldn't make any more money. I was working like crazy and I couldn't figure out what to do until I had another epiphany moment. And the epiphany moment was stop chasing money and start figuring out how I can serve deeper. How can I make a deeper, more meaningful impact into those people's lives that I'm serving? How can I help those that are paying me money right now? How can I help them so much that they can't stand not to give me even more money, or they can't stand not to even refer me on to someone else? And when that shift happened, it like opened up somewhat of a floodgate for money, because the money wasn't what I was after. I was after truly serving the people. How can I serve? And by the way, that was way, extremely fulfilling. When you get after this, and for anybody out in making your business go, if you want the money, I understand it. I wanted the money, but I also want to tell you that the way to get the money is not by trying to get the money. It's trying to help the people that you serve. It's trying to help the people you serve. And if you can do even a good job at that, you'll make more money than you can imagine. If you do a great job to an excellent job and you go above and beyond, money will never, ever, ever be your problem. Not having money, or at least getting the money. Keeping the money is another thing that we won't talk about. But that's a really big deal. Now, can I go back to a different idea?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So money is one part of this, but in business, what I recognize in businesses and trying to go from, say, a startup to their first six figures or six figures to that like multiple six figures, maybe 300,000 or something, which is a big deal for one. And it's a big difference going from 1 to 3. So sometimes people throw out numbers like I'm going to go from 100,000 to 300,000. And it seems like this should happen like this, but that's not real for almost any business. In fact, most businesses fail. 9 out of 10 fail within a 5-year period. So, right? Yep. Yeah. But here's the key. The key is to do something simple. And what I mean simple, it doesn't mean like surface. It means what happens for most businesses when they start out, they try to sell way too much stuff, product, services, whatever, way too much to way too broad of an audience. And those two things together are a killer for any business. A very quick example would be like if you asked me what I did and I just said, for example, I sell vitamin D. How hard would that be to understand? It's extremely simple. Anybody can understand. I sell vitamin D. And then if someone said, well, Jay, who do you sell vitamin D to? And I said, well, I sell it to people who live in climates where half the year the sun is not strong enough to provide them vitamin D. And then I educate them about what vitamin D is. I would teach them something about how vitamin D is not just a vitamin. In fact, it operates much like a hormone. And here's all the things it can do. It can help boost your immunity and helps prevent osteoporosis if you're aging and so on. And so I focus to that. That's pretty easy to understand. Now, if I got the idea I could sell vitamin D, but I said, but I could sell way more. I could sell multivitamins. I could sell fish oil. I could sell probiotics. I could sell, all the stuff, bars and protein powders and green drinks and all the stuff, right? It's not that I couldn't sell it. It's just what it equals for a young business. And I say young business, a business that's newer. It would require writing a marketing piece for every single product to every single avatar. So if I sold all that stuff and then you said something like, well, who do you sell that to? Well, I sell it to everybody. I sell to little kids and I sell to teenagers and I sell to adults and I sell to men and I sell to women and I sell to the elderly. Like, okay, well, now you have to have a product write-up that would go to every single avatar if you're going to do this properly. Now, the truth is even big businesses don't do this very well at all. They have a very, very difficult time speaking to all their avatars. And when big business catches on to these ideas, they will explode their businesses. But for businesses trying to get from 6 figures to 7 figures, the idea here is to simplify the product offering and
Mhm.
to narrow the niche. And if you can micro on
Mhm.
both of those, get down to a niche of a niche of a niche, you're going to be way more successful. If you can get down to like vitamin D as the
Mhm.
example, just to the one thing, again, it's makes it much easier then to put marketing messages to aim them exactly at the people you want. You can use micro influencers, you can use Facebook ads, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever, to reach your people with a very specific message for a very specific product, and that really works.
What's interesting about these two things, like even the money thing and what you're talking about now in terms of like narrowing our focus down and getting very, very specific, it's almost like the opposite of what most people would think. I want money, so therefore I should really focus on the money. And the message here is no, you focus on just doing a really good job, serve the people as best you possibly can, and make it so darn hard that they can't ignore you. And then also from a product point of view, don't make it so wide that you want to try and appeal to everybody. Make it really, in fact, make it as narrow as you can possibly get it, so that you are able to really, really target that particular, that avatar or that dream customer that you have really well. Because like you say, most businesses fail, and that's the harsh reality of business. Most businesses fail. Most of them do not survive past the first 5 years of business for a multitude of different reasons. But this, what you're talking about, is a big reason. It's the marketing, it's the lack of focus or direction in their business when they are trying to determine what is the product and or service that I should be focused on. How wide do I need to go with this, or how wide should I not go, and how do I actually chop off some opportunities? And most don't actually look at it from that perspective. They're always looking at how do I widen it, and that often is a pathway to to failure, because we're too wide and it just costs way too much money to try and go that wide when you're starting out. So some great points. I'm sure
Can
you've
I
got
can I jump in real quick and make one more
yeah,
point with that? Because
absolutely.
here's what I want to say to everybody listening, because a lot of people be like, I'm not doing that. I have lots of great things to offer. And what I want to say to everybody is that I know you have lots of great things to offer. And just because you can offer a lot doesn't mean you should as your step number one. Remember, when you're trying to go to business, you do it if you choose to do it in a step-by-step way. I'll go back to the vitamin D example. If I sell vitamin D and I sell it to a specific niche and I do it really well, I'm going to get a lot of buyers of my vitamin D. Now, my step number two in the business to start scaling and growing next level is I will sell my existing customers product number two. So let's say, for example, I have now 10,000 customers. And then I can say, listen, 10,000 customers, I'm super excited. I have a brand new product coming. I'm not going to tell you what it is today, but I'm going to do a webinar this next Friday. I'm going to tell you all about it. And I build up build up that anticipation of what I'm about to release. And then I say, I have this brand new multivitamin, but it's not any multivitamin. And I talk about where I've sourced it from here and there and all this place. Now I can sell my product number two initially through the webinar to all the people that I already are on my list. So I don't have to pay anything to Facebook or
Yep.
Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn or any other. I don't have to spend any time on any of these platforms. I just get to sell them more products. So once you have existing customers, another great thing to think about in business is once you have your customers, sell more product to your existing customers. But that step one is critical if you're going to make it, to sell a hyper targeted thing to one thing to one kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then from
Well,
there, you have so much power to leverage up.
Totally. And by leading with that first kind of product, that your flagship product, so to speak, and building out your database and your customer base based on that. They know you, they like you, they trust you. Like you say, they're already in your world, so you don't have to pay to go and try and attract them anymore. So again, your marketing costs are reduced. And secondly, I often refer to this as like building out that yellow brick road. So you're like, where am I going to take my customers? Where am I going to lead them to? And continuing to build your business, your product suite, maybe you've even referred to it as your value ladder, based on this concept that Jay is speaking of today. So bringing in that initial customer and then really thinking about, now that they're here with me, what would be the most logical next product that this existing customer base would want and, would need and want. And that way you can, continue to use that layering effect and paving the way for them moving forward. So, it is definitely, the way to go for sure. So I know that there are a whole lot of metrics that once you've kind of built this out, Jane, you're kind of looking at businesses, you're narrowing stuff down, you're thinking about, what's the long-term plan with this. There are a set of like metrics that I know you use in your business and that you kind of coach with other people that really help people to set themselves up for guaranteed success. Do you want to let's talk a little bit about what they are so that people can identify them and they can start implementing and at least putting those measurements in place into their business? Because we know, if you haven't heard this phrase already, what gets measured gets done. And I'm that is the case. I mean, I'm a big list maker. I have books and books and books of stuff of things that I need to be doing. If I can note it down and I can measure my success with it, I know it's going to get done. So let's talk about some of the metrics.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's the thing. There's I forget where I heard this first, but there's an idea in business, and this is so valid. I almost can't do it justice. And it says something like this: your business will never outgrow the person that is running it. So, my business will never outgrow my own personal development. Your business will never outgrow your personal development. It can't. And one thing I can tell you from working with ultra wealthy all the way down to some, the last few years I've been focusing to those businesses making right at 100,000, trying to scale up. One of the things I can tell you is personal development is critical. And those that are already making a lot of money, that are already, whether they're executives at large companies or they're entrepreneurs doing great things, if you check out what they're doing on a daily basis or weekly basis, you're going to find all kinds of amazing habits. So when I think about the metrics that drive a business, I like to look at personal metrics and I like to look at business metrics, because I know, especially in businesses that are, just trying to come up, that I can teach all the business strategy, I can teach business tactics, but what will happen is people will know them, but they'll find that they have some kind of resistance, that they won't be able to execute on the things that they know. They're like, yep, I've heard that before. Yep, I've heard that before. Yep, I've heard that before. And they find they're like, I don't know why I'm not doing it. What's wrong with me? And the truth is nothing's wrong with you, except for this idea of paying attention to you. And so here's some of the things I like to look at on the personal side. One is I like to look at morning routine. What is a morning routine? A morning routine should just have some basic things about it. And I won't get into specifics today, but some basic things would be to move, to breathe, to meditate, or at least, think about what you want to get done in this day. Think about how that relates to what you want to get done in this 6 weeks or this quarter or this year. And so that when you go to get into your day, that you've moved and you've done some breathing, and you should take in some nourishment so that you feel nourished and ready to go, and that you start your day with intention. And so most people, when they're starting out, their morning routines will not have those things, at least on a regular basis. And so that's one thing. The next thing I like to look at is something that I call perfect average week. And this is a concept where, like Tracy, I don't know your weekly schedule or your daily schedule, how the day goes for you. And I know you don't know mine exactly either. But here's what I want to tell you. After working with thousands of people over the years, I've noticed a couple of different things. One is that how success can come in lots of different ways. So like if you're out there listening and you think you have to get up at 5 a.m., you have to run 6 miles, and you have to eat keto, and you have to do all this stuff, like you don't. Like it's not that you shouldn't or you can't or whatever, but it's just like you don't have to do that to gain success. You can wake up, you can go for a walk for 10 minutes, you can eat a little bit of whatever you like, you can have some water, you can think about your day, and you can get on with it. And it can be any range of from something that seems maybe very high level to something low level, like Warren Buffett. A lot of people know Warren Buffett. Yeah, like I don't know, he's really done any intentional exercise in his life. And then you'll have some, other well-known people that will wake up at 5 in the morning and run 6 miles. And you have others like a Tony Robbins that generally wakes up about 10:30 or 11 most days and stays up till like 2 a.m. Like if you read in most books, they'll say, no, don't do that. But I'm just want to say like your perfect average week may be completely different than my perfect average week. But if you pay attention to what makes you tick, what makes you go, when you have the best energy and utilize the time for you that is best for you, and I utilize the time for me that's best for me, they might be the same, but they might be different. The point is for each of us to pay attention to us. That's it. And then that would lead into like a nighttime routine. And then I like to look at some basic health measures, like, for example, a measure around your belly. And why would I do that? Because the CDC, after studying more than 10,000 people, has found that if you wrap a measure around your belly, right through your belly button or the largest part of your waist, and it's greater than half of your height. So if you're 70 inches tall and it's greater than 35 inches or more, what the research shows is that you will have cardiovascular disease. So it's a metric to know, because as entrepreneurs, we are our greatest asset. Without you, the leader, the entrepreneur, what else matters? Nothing. Right. So it's a metric I like to look at. I also like to look at body fat. I also like to assess energy. And when I think about energy, I think generally speaking, I like to have people just say like, is my energy closer to like a 1 where I'm like kind of in the tank a lot? Or is it like a 10? I'm like so on fire. I feel like I never want to sleep and I'm just going. And it's a really great energy. Or is it somewhere in the middle? Or is it like ebb and flow? Like, is it really high at one point, really low at another point? What is going on with the energy? Because entrepreneuring takes a lot of energy. There's a lot of to-dos, right? And especially as if you're looking to grow your business, those to-dos grow. And so you need a lot of energy. And then I like to look at relationships, both on the personal side and business. What are they? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they somewhere in between? But once you get onto the ideas of kind of to your point you made, what gets measured gets done. If you want to improve a relationship, whether it's with a significant other, it's with a business person, it's someone that you don't know yet, but you want to establish a relationship. Relationships are important, and we cannot do business alone. They require a team of people, and the more people you can have behind you helping push when times are tough, and times do get tough, the better. And so that's a great one. And then beyond that, it's looking at dream lifestyle. What would be the dream lifestyle? What would it cost? And then looking at a metric that's one of my favorite, which is net worth. Like, what's your personal net worth today? What would you like it to be in a year, in 3 years, in 10, and so on? And so getting some metrics around that. Then we shift over to the business side. On the business side, really some real important numbers that are just might seem very basic, but most business people do not know, which is what is the previous year profit and loss. Okay, what's the profit and loss? What is like your top line? What was your top line revenue from the year before? What is your business model? What is your value ladder? Even if you're younger, we might only be executing on one rung of the value ladder until you get to multiple 6 figures, but we're going to fill it all in so you can get a more mature business that produces passive income on autopilot. You can ramp up and so on. Okay, and then it is the other metrics are what we touched on a little bit, which is who do you sell to? Who's the clear avatar? Who's the one person or the 2 people that are ideal for you to sell to? Because if you find 1 or 2, there's going to be millions just like that that you can sell to. And then the next part then is, of course, what do you sell? And I would say, between those 2, like who you sell to would be more important. That who you sell, like my first clients that I did exercise training with are still my clients today, 21 years later, for a whole different set of reasons. Like I don't sell them what I used to sell them. I don't do exercise. I do business coaching, but it's the same people. I love the people and they love me back. And so, so who you sell to, really important. What do you sell is another thing. And then how do you sell it? How do you sell it? Well, if you don't know, like what we talked about in an earlier conversation, you can model it. Who else is selling it? How do they sell it? Where do they sell it? And you can model that.
What's
And
interesting about that particular concept there, like when I think about those, I love the fact that you're talking about things from both perspectives, right? From a personal perspective and a business perspective, because often, entrepreneurs, you see this a lot, that you can get to a point where you actually run yourself down and run into the ground. And I'm in a lot of different, networking groups and know a lot of entrepreneurial people. And one of the questions that people are asking all the time is like, I'm dealing with burnout. How can I get myself back from that? So the fact that we're dealing with, today, we're talking about both sides of that coin from a personal perspective and business is really important. And starting with you, the individual first. And like you say, because without you, you don't have in most cases, most people don't have a business, because we're starting out and you're creating yourself a job in those early stages. There's only you created a job. And if you're not there, you don't have that job anymore. So anyway, that's a great point that you make in terms of like focusing on both those components. The other point that I want to make here is, we have spoken a lot about today about like narrowing down your niche and really understanding who is my avatar, or who my client, who is my dream client going to be, the person that I'm going to work with. And what I often find is that when I get people to work on this over and over and over again and get them to dig deeper and deeper and deeper, often people don't enjoy doing this piece. But I want to make the point, like Jay has today, about how important it is to really spend time understanding who is that one person, the avatar, the type of person that you want to be working with. It's so important to do that and actually revisiting it on a regular basis. The next thing I wanted to talk about was this, or make a point of just reiterating, is that concept of almost starting with why. Like, not what is my not how am I going to do it and what is the product that I'm going to sell, but it's like why. So starting with why the heck am I doing this? And a lot of like the businesses that I've created or the concepts that I've come up with have actually come up, have been created because there was actually a problem in the first place. It's usually a problem that I've come up against. It's been something that I've tried to find a solution for and it didn't exist. So therefore I would be like, if it doesn't exist, well, then what do I do about it? I can wait for somebody else to create it, or I can go and create it myself. So I start with that very, that centerpiece of being why. And that also helps to continue to keep you driven and passionate and focused on the thing that you are creating. So you start with why, and then what is it that I'm going to do? Who is it I'm going to work with? What is it that I'm going to do? And then how am I going to create it and or sell it? And when you start from that perspective, like Jay's alluded to, you don't have to focus on the money. That takes you right back to why the heck am I doing this in the first place, and keeps that fire burning in your belly on an ongoing basis. So the other thing that I wanted to kind of, now that we've established some metrics, because we know that what gets measured gets done. And when we know what to measure, we can start making plans around those, and we can start saying, well, how often am I actually going to measure these metrics, and how will I actually determine whether or not I'm successful with them, and what changes might I make? And I would suggest, we work on a 90-day cycle, suggest that you kind of do that every 90 days to keep track of, what's going on, and then break that down into monthly and weekly and daily, of course. But then there's some basic things that we can do. And I know you talk about like how to unleash that single most important factor that enables you to reach like levels of success that most only dream about. And if there's like the one thing, everybody wants to know the one thing. It's like, give me a pill, or give me the one thing that I can do that's going to make a big difference. In your opinion, Jay, what is that?
Yeah, this is my opinion, and it's also based on a heck of a lot of science. And so
Great.
I know that sometimes this can feel very mysterious, and like, what would be the one thing if I could do? What's one thing that would like unleash me so I can go to my next level, so I can live what I say that I want to do? and what it is. So we've been talking about these metrics, right? We talked about these personal metrics. We talked about some business metrics. And depending on the size of business, there could be some other metrics, different KPIs and so on that we would want to like get into. But what I just went over those are foundational to any size business, whether it's billions of dollar business or new business. Those metrics are must knows. Now, so what is that one thing? That one thing is actually your identity. So we don't always get what we
Hallelujah.
say we want. It is actually
Mhm.
your identity. So then the follow-up question to that is like, how in the, like, what, well, okay, I understand it and I've heard it. I've maybe read it on some people's social media posts and so on, but like, how do you, like, what do you do about identity? How do you change it? Like, what do you actually do? What's an action step? So I want to give some action steps that people can take to change their identity. And I'm a little reluctant to even say change your identity, because really what it is, it's uncovering who you actually really are. It's bringing out the best version of you. It's, you know, Tracy, when you were 5 years old, you were you, but you're not your 5-year-old version of you now. And when you turned 10, you were still you, but you're not now the 10-year-old version. And when you turn 20, so on, and now that you're 29, you're
Thank
not the
you.
you're not the
I'll take
20-year-old
that,
version,
Jay.
right? Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
And the idea is that every year we get to become this new, better version of us. Hopefully, at the end of each year, we can each say that I'm a better person. Maybe I'm a better husband or a better wife or a better significant other, a better boyfriend or girlfriend, a better mom or a better dad. I'm a better businesswoman or a businessman. I'm a better, whatever, better friend. I'm more spiritual. Whatever the thing is that you've been able to, kind of find your way and weave your way to this new level identity. So today I sit here at 47 years old. So I like to say I'm my 47.0 version of me, and I'm a work in progress. And so how you change your identity is we talk through these metrics. When you pay attention to these metrics and you look at them, at the end of these metrics, what I like to do with my coaching clients is I have them write up a clear vision statement. So we start by getting very clear on where the person is in their own life, have them get clear on where their business is right now, and then we imagine where they want to be in a year and in 3 years. And once we have clarity on those things, we write up a clear vision statement. Now, this turns out to be usually a 2 to 7 page kind of story all about you, about where it is you are, where it is you want to go, and so on. And then what happens is, what I ask people to do, the way you change your identity is you have to implant it. And the way that you implant it, one of the ways is, so imagine I have a sheet in front of me with my written clear vision statement. It's all about me. It's all about my business. It's my life, where I want to go. And what I do is I start talking about, and if I don't know how, that's fine. I just say in my clear vision, I don't know how, but when I get to the time that's time to find out how, I will go model someone, or I'll find the expert that already does know. If I don't know how to do Facebook ads, I will find the person that does. They're out there. So you just find the expert, and then you pay them, or you get close to them, or you go read some books, whatever, and you figure out how to do it. So you have this clear vision statement, okay? And it speaks very clearly about these things. And what you do, how you train when you train your subconscious mind, your identity lives in your subconscious mind, okay? And you read your clear vision statement ideally every day. Now, we're all humans, and I don't know anybody, including myself, that actually does it every day, but that would be ideal. Train your brain every day. Then what I like to have people do is to record themselves, like put themselves on their computer screen, turn on Loom or whatever else you like to screen record with, and do a screen recording, make a video of you telling you what it is that you want to do. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to go. Here's how I'm going to do it. And you listen to it. And it's very easy from there to make an MP3. So if you're out for a walk or whatever, listen to it. And if you can incorporate that in most days of the week, if not every day, within a very short period of time, relatively speaking, three months, you will find they're on autopilot. Now, here's the thing, Tracy. Most people, then when they're on their path, they will say something like this: "Well, I already know what to do, Tracy, but I just find that I don't feel like I want to do it." Whenever we say, like, I know what to do, but I don't feel like I want to do it. I know I'm supposed to, go on social media and do whatever, but I don't feel like it. And so then they don't. They blow it off. They turn to some form of escapism. They watch Netflix, or they scroll social media just for fun, or do something else to blow off time. Whenever there's resistance, here's what I want people to know: there's nothing wrong, but there's something you need to be aware of. And what you need to be aware of is this is a miscommunication between what you extrinsically say you want, like what maybe you would verbalize that you say, I want this. And I believe someone says, I want to make $1 million a year. Well, I believe they want to make $1 million a year. I believe that. But I also will believe if they're not making it, I already know that their identity is not an identity that believes that that's who they are. And so I have to go to work on their identity if I have any chance at teaching them business strategies and tactics. So what I'll want to do then is teach them this idea and show them exactly how to do it. And if there is resistance there, that means the identity is on board for something else. And when there's no resistance, that means your identity is on board for that. And so, there's certain things that you do that are your habits that even if, like, say if you're an exerciser out there and you get away from exercise for whatever reason, you're traveling or you got sick or, whatever, you're just tired and you blew off exercise for a while. But if you've been into exercise and you actually have loved it, now you've created all these connections that exercise equals something that I love. And that is part of the identity then, if it's something you love. Now, if you're exercising too much or too little, you're probably going to hate it, because if you exercise too much, you're going to hurt and it's not going to feel good. If you exercise too little, you're not really going to realize any benefit from it. So you're not going to really fall in love with it. But if you get that Goldilocks zone, that just right amount, you in fact will fall in love with exercise, because it in fact will make you feel good.
And I believe in terms of like doing that sort of stuff, it's like you're creating an anchor. Like it's something that is, you enjoy it. So therefore it's like anchoring into your subconscious mind that, hey, when I do this, it actually makes me feel good. So therefore the person's going to do, more of it.
100%. It's an absolute internal anchor. It's the best kind of an anchor, because it's not something you're trying to convince yourself of. It's not something you think you should do because so-and-so said to, but it's because you're doing it because in fact you really are benefiting from it. So if you're struggling right now because with the idea that you can't get yourself to do something you think you want to do, that you say you want to do, but you feel this resistance, go to work on your subconscious mind. Train it. Focus on what you really want. Find someone who can mentor you. Listen to Tracy. She is absolutely freaking brilliant. Follow what she says. Do what she says. Follow the steps, because she will guide you step by step by step to get you exactly what you want. And when you study what she teaches and you implant it in, you will find that the resistance will first start to lessen, or it might kind of ebb and flow. Some days you might feel resistance and some days not. But over a period of time, as you continue to focus on what you want, and you really are seeing that you're making more money, that you feel better, that your business feels easier, it's making you more money, then it's like you have these natural anchors inside to want to go further in that direction. If the business you're running makes you feel miserable and run down, forget it. You will self-sabotage is the word people say, but it's really just you're running from something that equals a painful experience.
Absolutely. And I think that I love that concept that you used, in terms of like getting people to understand that we're actually evolving all the time. Every single day, life is an evolution. And when you look at it that way and you think back to, okay, well, I am Tracy, I wasn't Tracy Wilson when I was 5 years old, but, the Tracy that I was when I was 5 years old and then 10 years old, I mean, I'm still that person. I'm just an older, a wiser, a more lived, evolved version of me. So if that is the case, so this is really, really important for people to get. If you understand that, and that is truth, right? That is truth. We can say, I'm not the version of myself when I was 5 years old. So if we know that to be true, that then indicates to us that tomorrow we can start transforming ourselves into the person that you want to be and that you need to become to have and do and enjoy all of the things that you actually want. And often people look at this from almost the upside down version. We're like, I'll feel happy when I have, a nice house, when I have a great car, when I have all of these things. But when we can work on what Jay's talking about, when we work on our own identity and we work on who we are, like inside, how we feel, and the things that we say to ourselves, then you start to become, you transform into becoming that person that then has the things that that you want and is able to do the things that you want, and you start to attract all of those in your life. And I think there's been multiple times in the conversation that I've had with Jay today where there have been those kind of like those light bulb moments, let's call them those, where he has identified that what you think is the norm, like the norm would be go chase the money. He said, don't chase the money. You actually want to focus on something different. If you think that you have to go and, work on things externally, or you're just going to work on strategy and tactics in your business, you're going to work on yourself first, and then the strategy and the tactics in your business later. If you think that you want to change this whole concept of the one thing that is going to be able to unleash the greatness that already exists within you, is actually to start working on yourself and your own identity. And I'm harping on about this because this is huge. When I realized this for myself, things started to change considerably, because you start out often in this entrepreneurial journey and it's like, am I going to make it? Will I make it? And until such time as you already, it's almost like you're living in the future in your head of, I'm living there in the now in my head, and therefore I'm playing that out in real life. It's kind of it's like playing that movie in my head, and now I'm going to play it in real life.
Love it. So good. So good.
It's an interesting concept. I'm just going to let everybody know, you guys know that I have a show on a Wednesday and a Friday. So Jay has given me, in fact, the topic for this Friday. So I want you guys to come back on Friday, because I'm going to talk a lot more about, I'm going to give you some very simple things as to how you can find kind of those beliefs that sit inside you that often help to formulate the identity in which we hold for ourselves, how you can actually start to, I'm going to call it reset those, how to identify them, and what steps you need to take to reset them. So tune in on Friday when I'm going to cover those. I love this conversation, Jay, because not only is it very practical, but a big part of what we talk about on the Unlock show is like how to unlock this, because all of this stuff, and I can't stress this enough, everybody has the ability to be great, to be successful in whatever it is that they want to do. And this show is about bringing to you the people that can help you do that, give you the strategies, the tactics, the tools, and sometimes resources that will help you to unlock that greatness that already exists inside you. So before when we could talk about this for ages, because it is such an interesting and a valuable topic that, a lot of coaches wouldn't really talk about, because they talk about just the, I'm going to say superficial, the stuff on the surface. This is really deep stuff, but really, really powerful. And we don't have all day to do that. So I want to give you an opportunity to kind of give the rest of our viewers and you guys, this is live. So if you've got any questions for Jay or for myself today, you can actually type them in the comment section. If you want us to be able to see them, you need to let StreamYard know or give them permission to allow us to see your comments. So I can see there's a bunch of you watching. I can't see all of the comments coming through, so I apologize if you guys are commenting profusely on Facebook right now. We can't see them, so you need to make sure that you're allowing StreamYard to see you so that we too can see your comments as they come through. So any questions for today, post them in the comment section and we will endeavor to answer them for you now. But I'm going to give Jay an opportunity to kind of circle back, wrap this up with anything else that he thinks is really important to share as we wrap up today's session.
Thank you, Tracy. So I guess the idea, really, you touched on a really key idea, what you were just talking about here. You talked about this idea of kind of be plus do kind of equals have. And it is not the other way around. It is not, well, if I just had the money, then I could have a successful business, then I could finally be happy. It is completely the opposite. And I had it wrong. I had it all the way wrong in my younger years. I did have it in my mind that if I just had the money, like you have to have money to make money. I believe that. That is not completely not true. You do not have to have money to make money. That is not a true statement. You have to have this idea of well, a couple of things. For one, we talked about this idea of really serving. If you serve deeper and better, you get successful. But there, in fact, you can make money with. You can do it the other way. You can go after the money. Like you could sell something that you have no passion about. Like you go out and sell pens, and if you don't care about pens, you can still go out and sell pens and make money selling pens, and make a lot of money. But it'll leave you probably feeling less than. But if you're out there and you have a business, especially if you're a service-based business or you have a product that you really do care about, like a face lotion that will change people. It's better than all the ones in the market. It's safer, it's non-toxic, it does what you say it does, all this stuff, and you really are passionate about it, it'll be so fulfilling. The stories that will come back to you, the rewards that come back to you will be way greater than the money. But the major concept is the be plus do equals have. And the be comes first. You have to be the person that then can in fact show up to do the things. And that just equals having your dream life. And so I guess I want to stress that again. Be the person. Focus on you. If you can get your energies up, if you can feel good in your own skin, if you can show up in your days with the energy, with focus, being nourished, and so on, so that you have the energy that it takes to do the things. You go to work on your subconscious mind so you can change your identity into your next version of you. It's all you, into that next best version of you. Then what you will find is the resistance to doing the things will go down when you have the energy, because you're working on yourself so you feel good, and you work on the subconscious mind. Your resistance will go down, and when the resistance goes down, you will move forward and you will have your dream life.
Thank you so much, Jay. This has been I knew, before you even came on, that this was going to be a great conversation, because this stuff, I mean, you're a great person anyway, and I've enjoyed, our friendship through the programs that we've been in, and I'm glad that we've kept in touch, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to be able to bring you on the show today to share your wisdom and your expertise that you've really worked hard to achieve over the last few decades. So, today has been magnificent with you sharing everything. I want you guys, I'm just going to go back. I just want to circle back on a couple of things, because there was some stuff out of today that Jay, and I hope you guys have picked this up. I asked you at the beginning, get yourself a pen and paper, because there were going to be some real gold nuggets shared throughout today. But there was something that Jay mentioned, and it was in the middle of our conversation, and it was around when we were talking about the business and the personal and the business sides of things that we're going to work on. And he asked us to write down your dream lifestyle. What would that look like? And the other activity that he gave us for today was for you to start writing down, journaling. It might be a page, it could be 7 pages of what you want your life to unfold into. What are you going to be unlocking in the future for yourself? You are the person who can write the next chapter of your life, and you can start doing that today. Grab yourself a pen and paper, take some time out, and really, really think about this. Most people go through life just hoping that stuff will happen. Tomorrow will be, like we say, tomorrow will be a better day. Tomorrow's another day. It is, but you want to start that way with intention. Start writing, your own chapters of your own story, and you can start doing that today. So thank you very much. There are the tasks for you guys for today, activities for you to do. It will change your life, I promise you. And I know that Jay will say the same thing. And I'm going to see you guys back on another episode of Unlocked with yours truly. I'll be running solo on Friday, and we're going to talk about how to find, what your belief system is, and how to rewrite it. Will allow you to rewrite the next chapter of your story by joining me on Friday, and that will be 10 a.m. Brisbane time, here on The Unlock Show. So thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, guests, for being here. Thank you so much, Jay, for being here. I appreciate you and your time. And I'll see you guys again on another episode of Unlocked. And like I always say, every episode, go and live your life unlocked, because there is just no other way. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye for now.